Hey guys, welcome to today's call where Calvin talks about how to run a nonprofit in Africa, especially one related to agriculture. On today's call, we have four very important topics to get through. The first one is amending soils when they are so acidic. How do we do that? I promised you on the last phone call we would get to that today, and today I have a lot ready for you. This is going to be probably the majority of the call. The second component is we are keeping Edmund and Shaka on as staff members for now. Find out why you need a process before you fire somebody in Africa. Number 3, healthcare plans for the employees. And number 4, Christmas is coming. How can you use upcoming events to stimulate excitement and social media content? Find out here. So again, how do you amend the soils when they are so acidic? Soil acidity can be fixed by adding a liming agent to the soil, either a synthetic one like calcium carbonate or a natural mineral such as oyster shells or limestone. Depending on where you are in the world, it might be harder or more expensive to get one or the other, but for the sake of our video, we are talking about calcium carbonate because that is the most abundant one. It is also the most economical one, the cheapest to get, and that's what I have access to in Sierra Leone. Plus, calcium carbonate is slightly easier to use than the other ones if you are a beginner using lime. Now, don't quote me on this because I'm not a chemist, but in general, how calcium carbonate reacts with the soil is this. When the calcium carbonate is dissolving into the soil, the calcium moves up in the soil, replacing those top acidic particles with the calcium, and then the carbonate reacts with that acidity to create carbon dioxide and water. And the result is a slightly less acidic soil, one that has a pH that's a little bit higher. Now, getting the materials for liming is the easy part. What's not the easy part is calculating how much lime you need per acre and how much that's going to increase your pH. So let's get into that. The first thing you need to start with is a soil test. Once those results are in, that data will tell you what the pH of your soil is. You can either use an at-home kit that you buy online, such as one from Amazon, it's about $10, or in our case, we partner with the local university for them to come out and take live samples for us. After you know the pH, then you can move into part 2. What you need to know is the composition of your soil. Is the soil a silty soil, a sandy soil, a clayey soil, a loamy soil? That can be determined through a ribbon test with your hands and some water. If you don't know what a ribbon test is, look it up, RIBBON test. I would do one outside right now, but it's December and the soil is frozen. Once you know those two things, the composition of the soil and the pH of the soil, you can get an estimate on how much lime you need per acre. In general, it takes 1.2 tons of agricultural lime per acre to raise the pH of a loamy soil by 1 point. So from a 5.0 to a 6.0. So it's 1.2 tons per acre for a loamy soil to increase it by 1 point. It is half of that for a sandy soil. So that means you need 0.6 tons of agricultural lime per acre to amend a sandy soil. And you need almost double that. You need 2 tons per acre of agricultural lime to amend a clayey soil. If you want to raise your pH level by 2 points, so from a 5.0 to a 7.0, double the ingredients list. 0.6 tons per acre for sandy becomes 1.2 tons per acre. 1.2 tons per acre for a loamy soil becomes 2.4 tons per acre. And 2 tons per acre for a clayey soil becomes 4 tons per acre. If you have any questions about this, drop a comment and let me know. In general, 1.2 tons of lime is equivalent to 48 standard 50-pound bags of agricultural limestone. So if you live in an area like I do where we don't have the truckload of lime available to us, we need to buy 48 50-pound bags of it to equivalent to 1.2 tons for 1 acre. Now, both limestone and oyster shells would also work very well in this way, and they might even be a lot cheaper if you have natural deposits of one or the other you can take from. But in Sierra Leone, both limestone and oyster shells are classified as natural resources. You cannot take from them, especially not for free, and there is a very significant charge on oyster shells. They kind of have that market covered. So again, calcium carbonate is the most abundant and economic way to do it if you are in Sierra Leone, and I would recommend going through Freetown. There is a Ministry of Agriculture location in Freetown that has limestone. Now, I don't know the price of calcium carbonate per bag right now, but when I do that investigation, I will let you know. Over the coming year or two, we are going to experiment a lot with it because our pH of the soil is about 4.5. So we need to increase our own pH by about 2.5 points, and that will require a lot of lime. So when I get that price per bag, I will let you know. Additionally, on the next video, I will bust out our old Anjali University soil sample they did for us earlier this year, where they did the pH of the soil, the composition of sand, silt, and clay, as well as the macronutrients of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Now that is everything we need to know for now about amending soils, acidic soils in Sierra Leone. If you have any more comments or questions, please let me know and I'm happy to answer them for you. Moving into the second portion of today's call, we are still keeping Edmund and Shaka on the payroll for now, even though they just stole from us for the solar project. Why are we keeping them on? They broke our bylaws of anti-corruption, where we explicitly stated that anybody who steals from us would be terminated immediately. They signed on that dotted line and knew the risks before they went into it, and yet they are still signed up with us. Why is that? Well, before you fire somebody in Africa, it's really important that you have a proper procedure set up or a way to protect yourself on the back end if things don't go well, like if they want to retaliate or they are emotional about it. Because it's not like America, we aren't there. They could damage our stuff, they could trespass, they could violate stuff, they could steal our crops. There's a whole slew of things that could go wrong if you act emotionally and you leave things on negative terms with your employee. So there's a few things that we are doing right now to kind of dot our I's and cross our T's before we do let them go officially. The first thing is this. We're not on the ground in country, the staff member is, the ex-staff member is. If we do something based on emotion or something that's unfair, they could embellish the story and tell the community how we treated them unfairly, whether it is true or not. And then in the future, it'll be hard to get more people to work for us or even accept the services that we offer if we were to disrespect one of their tribe. So we've taken a step back, we've been calming ourselves down, finding out how to meticulously move through this. Number two that we thought of was, this is also to protect us against retaliation. We need a proper transition process and termination process set up. For example, last week, Christian visited the bank with Shaka and Edmund, where Christian was added to the bank account and Shaka and Edmund were removed from the bank account. I told them it was just because we don't want 3 people on the bank anymore, and it was part of their punishment that they were getting removed from the bank. But that was also to protect ourselves in the future. If we do fire them, they don't have the access to go to our bank and drain our account just because they're pissed off at us. Another thing that we did to set up for this transition was I had Shaka and Christian meet each other, and Shaka handed Christian all of our important documents. The land documents that we purchased, our certificates of registration with the city and with the country, and our bank account statements. Okay, so now everything is in Christian's hands, and I told Shaka that was just because we wanted our directors or highest position employees to be holding documents like that. Not all of these things are happening at the same time, like on the same day, otherwise they would catch a whiff and think something funny is going on. But over time, about 1 or 2 of these things per week is happening so that we can slowly make this transition. And the last thing we need to do to prepare for this transition is we need to hire security guards, because Shaka and Edmund could try to go to our building that we're building and steal our building materials, or steal the crops on our land and sell them for money because now they don't have an income. We need protection against these things, so we are coming up with a system to hire 2 to 3 security guards on a daily or weekly rotation, where one of them's in the daytime, one of them's in the nighttime, so there's always 24-hour security on the farm. So this is a very important topic that I need you guys to know, especially if you do support Growing the Grassroots. A lot of you have to be wondering, why are we still holding 2 people that have just stolen from us? Again, we need the proper procedures in place before we do so to mitigate potential retaliation. But also, mind you, I told you guys this in the past, they stole 16,000. We're requesting that we get 20,000 leones back from them. So I went to the police station, we signed a document with the police, Shaka and Edmund visited the police and signed that same document, and they're both paying us back 10,000 leones each by the end of February. They both visited the police post just this past weekend and paid them a total of 11,000 out of that 20,000 leones. We have about 55% of that money recovered. Once we get the rest of that money, we will relieve them of their duties from Growing the Grassroots. It's just that we wanted to keep them on while they are paying it back so that they have a salary, and also Shaka and Edmund are living in company houses. So when they get terminated, they're going to have to find a new house. So I'm going to give them at least a 30 to 60 day notice on that so that they are not left out on the streets. And I will make sure from other people in town that they do have a place to live. Even if they hit that 60-day mark and they don't have a new place to live, I would never kick them out on the streets. So that is what I wanted to update you guys from there in terms of why we are keeping Edmund and Shaka and what our next steps are. So again, we got to make sure that they don't retaliate. We're hiring security guards. We don't want them embellishing any stories, so we didn't want to take any actions out of rash emotion. And we're setting up, getting the bank documents transferred over, the land documents transferred over. Everything of importance to the organization is getting out of their hands and into somebody else's hands. Now we'll keep moving into the third portion of the call, which is healthcare for your employees. I've already spoken about this in another video, so I'm going to be very brief. But the reason it comes up is because Christian just went to the clinic to get treated for malaria and typhoid, and his bill was about $45. Typically, you can buy the treatment medications that you need over the counter for about $5. And our staff members down in the village usually get treated for about $10 to $15 or $20 total. Not up in the city where Christian got treated for $45. So at first I was a little bit upset about that. I said, man, I do not want to spend $45 for treating the most common thing in Sierra Leone. And then I remembered, everybody now has a healthcare package that we rolled out where everybody gets the same 2,500 leones per year. You can use it as you want to. So because of that, I wasn't so upset, and I didn't want to dictate where he got his future treatments done, what treatments he got, what he bought and didn't. Only he knows what he needs to be healthy. I get that. But I'm telling you guys, it was really nice having a healthcare package rolled out now, because within the first 3 weeks of his employment, he has now spent 40% of his annual access to healthcare through us. Nobody, again, has ever even used 2,000 leones, let alone now using 40% of that in the first few weeks. I'm glad that we touched our bases as we did. So, roll out a healthcare package, you guys. And I'm not saying this to bash Christian. I think Christian's probably watching this video right now. Hi, buddy. He's a very, very smart, very gifted guy. And I just hold him to higher standards than I do other people because I know what his potential is. That is it. The fourth and final topic for today's call is Christmas is coming. How do you take an event like Christmas and generate excitement for your team and generate social media content? Let's talk about it. One of my biggest flaws for sure is having a plan in my head, but then not telling anybody what that plan is until it's like the day of, and now I'm telling everybody what to do. I need to get better at planning and telling people what my plan is in advance. Christian is a very, very smart guy, and he helped me to do this, and if he didn't bring this up, I wouldn't have made this learning lesson to now share with you. On Thursday, the 19th of December, 2 days ago, Christian had the brilliant idea to tell the team before the end of the workday on Thursday what was included in everybody's Christmas package. He specifically asked me what was included in it shortly before. It included a bag of rice for each person and a week off of work. That bag of rice costs about $50 US. It's a really nice bonus for them as it represents about 1 to 2 weeks of work per person. And then Christian sent out this really nice, beautiful, bright message to everybody in the group chat saying, "Happy holidays, let's finish this week strong, and here's what everybody's getting." And everybody was just so lively. Like, the group chat was just beautiful. The lesson here is really take advantage of the exciting events that you have coming up and keep that morale high. And don't forget to be a good communicator with everybody in your organization, not just your board of directors of what you're going to do for your staff, but also your staff of telling them what you're going to do for them. Build excitement just like we do for things in America. And lastly, take advantage of social media opportunities when you have the chance. Christian, our new communications guy, naturally had this idea to buy Christmas hats and a Santa suit, and everybody in the organization will have a dance party and wish the American donors a Merry Christmas and just say hi to everybody. This was a brilliant idea, and the quote for the Santa suit and the 8 hats costs $30. What an investment for social media. When you do special posts like this, boost those posts for like $10 as well and get thousands of people clicking on your website, clicking on your profile. I mean, for a $30 to $40 investment, what a fun way to celebrate the holidays. So anyways, that's what I've got for today between amending the soils in Sierra Leone, why we're keeping Edmund and Shaka for now, healthcare plans for the employees, and Christmas coming up. And if you want any merchandise, go to growingthegrassroots.org, and we have a whole My Spreadshirts store in there. We don't even make any money on it because we have it priced out for so low, But the sweatshirts, all of the merchandise is super duper cool. So go find a hat, go find a tank top, go find a coffee mug, and we'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to look up growingthegrassroots.org and bridge-2-africa.com if you want to travel to Sierra Leone with me and do some voluntourism.